And I mean, it's the same thing if you look at it microcosmically, analogically, fractally, however you want to look at it. It's the same thing. The people who are not fit to rule, because not everyone is fit to rule. The people who are not fit to rule need to consent to be ruled. But that's only allowable if their options dictate that they can trust this person. You know, this is an ages old thing. This goes back to the divine right of kingship. Okay. We talk about it in the Republic, right? I mean, you read the Republic, it's stunning, it's shocking, it's almost like a eugenics dystopia. You know, but the thing is, Plato didn't really have, at that point in his life, a really positive outlook on human affairs. He had lived through a tremendous amount of political turmoil and tyranny, outright fucking tyranny, in the city of Athens, right? The city of Athens was like the paragon of the city. It was supposed to be progressive, modern, supposed to be the light of the world in the Mediterranean, and it was subject to tyranny. Somebody had taken it over, a group of people had taken it over.
Yeah.
And he lived through that. And so there's a lot of politics in his writing, but the thing that he basically says is, first of all, Plato and Socrates hated democracy. They hated it. Because what do you mean? What do you mean the guy who's wiping his ass with a stick gets a vote? You know, like what do you mean that guy has a say? Or the even worse, the tyrant, the guy who we know is bad, who does not have the best interests of anyone else really other than himself at heart. He gets to say, you know, so they didn't like democracy. Well, that wasn't a thing that they enjoyed. Plato and Socrates espoused, I mean, we don't really know what Plato thought. We can assume, right? I think it's in his seventh epistle, might be a different one, but his seventh epistle, which again, the authenticity of it coming from Plato is contested. But his seventh letter basically says, I never wrote down the philosophy of Plato. The dialogues are Socrates made beautiful, but the philosophy of Plato will never be written down. So we don't really know if that was what he believed, but he cared enough about what Socrates had to say to write these dialogues about him. So at least Socrates says in the Republic, the only one fit to rule is the one who can rule himself completely and entirely. That's it. And he called him the Philosopher King.
Yeah.
And a lot of Freemasonic allegory is based on that, right? Because in Freemasonry, our big mythos is the Temple of Solomon and Solomon King. And what was he, right? He's the archetype of the Philosopher King. He was wiser than all the kings, all the regents, all the wisdom of Egypt and Syria, wiser than all of them, according to, you know, the ancient writings. And so he was the Philosopher King. And that's why in his time, his people prospered, his kingdom prospered, right? He built the temple. He actually built the temple. And so you know, these are the types of people that Plato and Socrates are talking about. You need the Philosopher King. Now, the thing is, you can leave that to somebody else or you can do it.
Yeah.
Right? Because then either way, you're free. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. You could live in a fucking cage. If you are moral and you are just and you've done everything that you can and you have purified yourself in that way, you are still free. You're still free.
And it's so fascinating to me because we always often a lot of the population thinks of themselves as being very evolved and intelligent compared to the older generations. But when you look back
Yeah.
at the way that these people were communicating and their level of uh at least the upper class and the educated class, the letters that they wrote and their minds. I mean, most people will likely go their whole lives without even contemplating these questions about uh, a democracy or a republic or how people are to be governed or what the nature of a philosopher king is and why that's beneficial.